Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Grandma, your great grandmother, my grandma Griffin, was Agnes Rebecca Johnston Griffin. Johnston was her maiden name. Okay. And she married my grandfather, Alvarado Griffin, who's 15 paces down from the tree. And then he died when she was fairly young and still had kids to raise, including my father. And my daddy, for the next 2 years, he went to what they called the CCC camps, which were set up during Roosevelt's time.
Russian.
Yeah, right after the Depression. And he worked, that stood for the Civilian Conservation Corps. And down in the basement, I have got records, all framed and everything, of Daddy working at the CCC. And there was still his brother Charlie, Chuck Griffin, at home, and Grandma Griffin. And he sent money that he made in the Civilian Conservation Corps, and he raised Chuck Griffin, because he supported Grandma Griffin and Chuck, and he put Chuck through college. He actually put Chuck through college, and that's why Chuck was a white hat at the Joy, because he turned out to be Daddy's boss, even though Daddy had put him through college. But Daddy only had like a 10th grade education, but he worked at the Joy and the CPT, Chicago Pneumatic Tool Company, in Franklin. He worked both jobs at the same time, full-time jobs. But anyway, so Grandma Griffin Clevenger was my dad, Herbert Griffin's mother. And Alvarado, or Rady Griffin, was Herbert Griffin's father. And my mama and him met through the Johnstons. Harry Johnston was a cousin of Daddy's, and he was more towards the Homer City area. That's where his family was raised. And he introduced Dad to my mama. And Dad, by the end of summer, he knew he wanted to marry my mama, Hazel. So that is where it all started. And Larry was Mom and Dad's first son, Uncle Larry, and his middle name is Ellsworth, E, because that was Herbert's
Same middle name.
Ellsworth Griffin. Okay.
Okay.
And Jody J. Winters was Mom and Dad's first child, Becky.
Third child.
Yeah, but Becky was their first child.
Oh, yeah.
Mom and Dad's first child, Rebecca Agnes, who was named after her grandma, Rebecca Agnes Griffin Clevenger. Becky always said her name was Rebecca Agnes, but in reality it was Agnes Rebecca.
Yeah, she didn't like
She
Agnes.
changed it on her own, and she even got married under Agnes or Rebecca Agnes.
Yep.
But in reality, she was Agnes Rebecca. She hated the name Agnes. And Becky's husband, Tom, when they'd be fighting or when he was teasing her, he would call her Aggie, just to get her goat and make her mad. And it did make her mad. She hated the name Agnes, even though she was named after her grandma.
Yeah, she always wrote Rebecca A. Winters.
Yeah, she changed that name all around herself.
And who was 15 feet down from that tree up there?
That was Alvarado Griffin.
Your great-grandfather.
Your great-grandfather. My grandfather. Herbert's father. And they called him Rady. He was Grandpa Rady. but his real name was Alvarado. And believe it or not, that Alvarado is not Spanish or French. Herbert and Alvarado and all the Griffins were Scotch-Irish. And that's why there's so many redheads in the family. Ricky, your brother's a redhead. Becky and Lori, Timmy, all were redheads. Timmy went in. Grandma Schaefer was also a redhead. Mama's mama, she was a redhead. So even though Alvarado sounds Spanish, it's not. It was actually Scotch-Irish. And they were very proud of their Irish heritage, their Scotch-Irish heritage, as I am proud of it. And that's why I have so many Irish items, Irish bowls and stuff.
The
Irish,
Waterford crystal.
yeah, my Waterford crystal, my Galway crystal, that's all from Ireland. It was all touch and base with our past descendants. And Larry was the firstborn son, and Rebecca was the firstborn daughter, and Jody was the fourth child of Rebecca and Thomas Winters. And Jody was killed in a car accident in 1982, right?
83.
83, January 19th
1983.
of 1983.
18.
He was he 18?
18 years old.
Okay, I thought he was 16, but and you might remember Jody J watching you guys.
Oh yeah.
He babysat you when we first
Rick
moved out
remembers
here.
him, I know. Rick.
And watched him so that I could work out at Kirk Center.
Boogie.
And so when Jody J was killed, I mean, it was an unexpected death, and they didn't have anything bought for a funeral for their children, of course. And Mom said, let him lay beside me.
Yep.
I'm always bought 3 graves, just as I have bought 3 graves. And Mom said, put my grandson beside me.
And that stone there, that's the only thing I could afford when I put that on there. That man gave me a good deal on that.
But that stone was the perfect size because Larry's stone is about the same size.
Proportionate to it.
And it really did even it out so that Mama and Daddy's stone is the centerpiece, and they've got their son and their grandson on each side of them.
Pretty cool.